Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, where we dive deep into the financial world and try to crack the code of corporate filings. Today, we are dissecting Restaurant Brands International Inc., a company that owns some of the most recognizable fast food chains out there. Prepare yourselves, because this 10K filing is quite the read. And we're going to pull out the most important insights to understand where this fast food giant stands. And hey, if you appreciate this kind of deep dive, make sure you subscribe and join our Discord community linked below to keep the conversation going. So, Restaurant Brands International, or RBI, what is the big story here? This is their annual report, a massive document covering their performance for the entire year, ending the 31st of December 2025. RBI is a powerhouse with nearly $47 billion in system-wide sales and over 33,000 restaurants across more than 120 countries. Think Tim Hortons, Burger King, Popeyes, and Firehouse Subs all under one roof. They're basically a global fast food conglomerate, and this report tells us exactly how they're doing. Let's jump right into the financials for 2025 RBI reported system-wide sales growth of 5.3%. That sounds pretty good, right? It means their total sales across all their restaurants franchised and company-owned went up compared to the previous year. They raked in a massive $46,762,000,000 in system-wide sales. This growth is vital because RBI makes a lot of its money from royalties and fees passed on from these sales. Think of it as a percentage cut on every burger, coffee, or sub sold across their vast network. Looking at the restaurant count, they ended 2025 with over 33,000 restaurants globally. Most of these, over 16,000 in the US and Canada alone, and another 16,000 internationally, are franchised. This means RBI is more of a manager and brand licensor than a direct operator for the most part, which has its own set of benefits and risks. Now, let's talk about revenue. Total revenues hit over $9 billion in 2025, a solid increase from $8.4 billion in 2024. This jump was mainly fueled by higher company restaurant sales, which grew significantly to $2.3 billion compared to $1.5 billion in 2024. This is largely due to the acquisition of Carrols Restaurant Group and its Burger King restaurants. It shows that when they directly own more restaurants, that revenue stream gets a major boost. Franchise and property revenues also saw a slight increase, while advertising revenues nudged up as well. But with higher sales in company-owned restaurants comes higher costs. Company restaurant expenses jumped from $1.3 billion in 2024 to almost $2 billion in 2025. This is a pretty significant jump, and directly tied to owning more restaurants through acquisitions, like Carrols. Despite the revenue growth, income from operations decreased to $2.2 billion in 2025 from $2.4 billion in 2024. This drop is mainly due to increased net losses on foreign exchange. Basically, the tricky dance of currency values impacting their international business. And importantly, the absence of a gain they recognized in 2024 from the Carrols acquisition. It is a reminder that acquisitions can create one-time gains that make future comparisons look tougher. This all trickles down to net income, which was $1.075 billion in 2025, down from $1.445 billion in 2024. While still a huge number, that is a noticeable drop. The company also reported a net loss from discontinued operations of $126 million, largely related to their Burger King China business, which they are in the process of selling off. Now, RBI also talks about adjusted operating income, which is a way for them to show their performance excluding certain costs they deem non-recurring or not part of their core business. This metric actually increased to $2.58 billion in 2025 from $2.4 billion in 2024. This often happens when companies want to highlight the ongoing operational strength separately from acquisition costs or foreign exchange swings. So, while net income dipped, their adjusted operational performance looks stronger. Let us look at the segments. The Tim Hortons segment, their Canadian coffee and baked goods giant, saw system-wide sales growth of 3%, and comparable sales grew by 2.7%. Revenue increased too, mainly from supply chain sales, which includes selling products to their franchisees and consumer packaged goods. Adjusted operating income for Tim Hortons also saw a nice bump, showing resilience in their home market. The Burger King segment, excluding those acquired Carrols restaurants, showed modest system-wide sales growth of 0.9%, and comparable sales grew by 1.5%. Total revenues here increased slightly, largely driven by higher advertising revenues from franchisees. Adjusted operating income jumped to 468 million from 410 million, showing some positive operational momentum, perhaps benefiting from strategic initiatives. Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen segment saw a slight dip in system, wide sales growth at negative 0.7%, and comparable sales were down 3.2%. However, company restaurant sales increased, likely due to the full-year inclusion of restaurants acquired from Carroll's. Despite the dip in comparable sales, their adjusted operating income grew a bit, suggesting some operational efficiencies or cost management efforts. The international segment, which covers all their brands outside the US and Canada, excluding Popeye's China and Firehouse Subs Brazil, posted strong system, wide sales growth of 10.7%. Comparable sales were also up, indicating healthy growth across their global brand portfolio. Adjusted operating income saw a significant increase, highlighting the power of their international expansion. The restaurant holdings segment, which includes the results from Carroll's Burger King restaurants and Popeye's China from their acquisition dates, showed flat adjusted operating income at $44 million. This segment is a bit unique because it reflects the initial integration phase after major acquisitions, and RBI plans to refranchise most of these restaurants. Now, let's talk about goodwill. It is basically the premium paid in acquisitions over the fair value of the net assets acquired. RBI reported a significant increase in goodwill, from 5.9 billion in 2024 to 6.3 billion in 2025. This is a direct result of their big acquisitions, particularly Carroll's and BK China. It is a key number to watch because if the acquired businesses do not perform as expected, these goodwill assets could be impaired, meaning RBI would have to write down their value, which hits their net income. Let's talk debt. RBI has a substantial amount of debt, totaling over $13 billion as of the 31st of December 2025. This includes term loans and senior notes. They are paying a significant amount in interest, over $500 million annually, while they have liquidity through cash on hand and their revolving credit facility. This debt load is a major factor in their financial risk. A large portion matures in 2028 and 2029, which is something to keep an eye on as those dates approach. Now, no company filing is complete without the risk factors. RBI highlights several critical ones. Economic conditions are a big concern, impacting consumer discretionary spending and thus their sales. Intense competition is another, coming from all angles, other QSRs, casual dining, even grocery stores now. Marketing and advertising success, including digital engagement, are crucial, and any misstep could hurt their brands. Food safety and wellness trends also pose risks, as negative publicity or changing consumer perceptions can damage their reputation and sales. And then there is the risk tied to their global operations. Fluctuating currency exchange rates and interest rates can significantly impact their profitability, especially with businesses in so many different countries. They do use financial instruments to hedge some of this, but it is a constant balancing act. Labor is another major challenge. Attracting and retaining qualified employees is tough, and rising labor costs, minimum wage increases, and potential labor organizing efforts can squeeze franchisee profitability and slow down growth. This is a critical risk because their franchisees' success is directly linked to RBI's success. A fascinating legal risk they mention is the potential for joint employer liability. This could mean RBI might be held responsible for labor practices of their franchisees, which could lead to increased costs and legal battles. This is a growing concern in the franchise world. And of course, in today's digital age, cybersecurity and data privacy are paramount. They acknowledge the increasing risks and evolving privacy laws across different countries, highlighting that breaches or non-compliance could lead to hefty fines, legal trouble, and reputational damage. Looking at the broader picture, RBI is navigating a complex global environment. They are facing economic headwinds, intense competition, and the ever-present challenge of managing a vast franchise network. Their acquisition strategy has boosted their owned restaurant sales, but also increased their debt and operational complexity. The growth in their international segment is a strong positive, showing global demand for their brands. Overall, RBI's 2025 performance shows solid revenue growth, particularly from company-owned restaurants due to acquisitions, but a dip in net income and operating income. This is partly due to integration costs, foreign exchange impacts, and the anniversary of certain one-time gains from prior years. Their adjusted operating income offers a more optimistic view of their core operations. So, what is my take? RBI is a massive company with incredibly strong brands. The international growth is impressive and a key driver. However, the increase in debt and the reliance on acquisitions to boost revenue are points to watch. The risk factors are significant and require constant strategic attention, especially labor challenges and the evolving legal landscape for franchises. The success of their refranchising efforts on acquired assets will be crucial for simplifying their operations and improving profitability long term. Right now, they are navigating a challenging economic period, and their ability to manage costs, drive franchisee success, and innovate across all their brands will determine their future performance. It is a strong portfolio but needs careful management to overcome current headwinds. Alright, that is our deep dive into Restaurant Brands International's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out our Discord linked in the description. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Corporate Decoder.